was this book made for me and me only? The publisher reached out about this series by Sarah Raleigh, and I was like, I have to have it. I have to have it or I'm gonna die. Oh, hi. Jessie on YouTube here. Feeling cute today, like style on fleek, in a good space mentally, and I'm really excited to film this video because we've got a lot to talk about and I'm just really stoked. So this video is going to be me talking about my spring TBR, what my book club is doing, what my Patreon is doing. As far as my non-binary book club, which you can follow on Instagram at Enby Book Club, we've got some fun things planned. So for April, our book club selection is none other than Unwieldy Creatures, and this is by Addie Sai. Now, for those of you who are Frankenstein fans, you are not going to want to miss this queer Asian non-binary retelling. And in this book, you get to follow Frankenstein, the monster, after it is abandoned. You're following a non-binary Asian scientist who risks everything to procreate without sperm or egg. And then you're also following another queer biracial Chinese intern at one of the world's top embryology labs who runs away from home to openly be with her girlfriend only to be abandoned. So that's what we're reading for Enby Book Club this month, and there is only 250 pages in this book, so if you want to join the book club late, you definitely should. And I'm really excited to announce that Kevy is going to be the guest host for this month. So we're going to be filming a live show on Unwieldy Creatures at the very end of the month and giving all of the tea, no holds barred. We're really excited. This is the first time that I will be partnering up with Kevy, who is amazing. You should follow her. Her channel link is down below. She's absolutely precious. And then in May, I am really excited to announce my first collaboration with another book club, and that is going to be the Heartbound Book Club, which is run by Alex and Brandon, and their social media info is going to be linked down below. I love Alex. She is a Minnesota-based YouTuber, and I have been obsessed with her for quite a while. I'm so glad to call her a friend. We decided to combine our book clubs for May, and we are going to be reading The Genesis of Misery by Neon Yang. Another exciting thing that we have to announce is that we will be interviewing Neon Yang. I believe the interview is set for May 19th, but I am going to double check and leave that information on the screen. I have really admired them as an author for quite some time, and this is a science fiction novel where we are following a non-binary protagonist whose name is Misery Namaki, I believe, and the synopsis is absolutely wild. I'm having such a hard time trying to figure out how to explain what the hell this book is about because it's wild. So in this society, they basically are like really puritanical. So think Puritanism but in space, and then all of a sudden this person comes up and says that angels are speaking to them, and so they get this huge following, and Misery is like, nope, absolutely not that. But Misery starts seeing an angel, and that is considered blasphemy to say that you're seeing angels or spirits, and so the people who in this society are touched by angels are then killed, and it's not a good thing. It's just a wild trippy synopsis. So if you want to read some wild out there queer non-binary science fiction with us in May, that is definitely the book that you are going to want to get. And the Enby Book Club selection for June will be Ander and Santi Were Here by Johnny Garcia. This is one of my most highly anticipated books, and I'm so freaking excited. It released, I believe, last month in March, and the book community is stoked. We love seeing Latine non-binary authors release books, and this sounds like such a tender, brown, queer, loving story. This is described as Aristotle and Dante meets The Hate U Give meets The Sun Is Also a Star, a stunning YA contemporary love story about a Mexican-American teen who falls in love with an undocumented Mexican boy. Cannot freaking wait for that. I also am really excited to announce that Enby Book Club now has merch for the first time. I wanted to do something special now that the book club hit 11K, which is insane. I finally launched merch. We have been running for 5 years, and I just can't believe that there's Enby Book Club merch. So I'm going to put the merchandise that we have here. please support Boost. I'm so excited. So that information is going to be linked down below as well. Now let's talk about what my Patreon is going to be doing over the next 3 months in terms of our book club selections. So excited. Lone Women by Victor Laval, which is one of my most highly anticipated books, is our book club selection for April. And y'all know that I've been raving about this. It was featured in my 60 plus 2023 anticipated releases video, which is going to be linked down below. A lot of you said that I talked about books that you didn't even know were coming out. So definitely check out that video if you're looking for more new books to geek over and pre-order. So we are following a girl named Adelaide in the year 1915, and she is in trouble. She carries an enormous steamer trunk wherever she goes. It's locked at all times, and when the trunk opens, people around Adelaide start to disappear. She drags this trunk around with her everywhere that she goes, and she takes advantage of the government's offer to become a lone woman, which is basically these women who move to this free patch of land and try to tame it. So I'm very excited. I've heard incredible things about that. And then in May, we are going to be reading one of my favorite books of all time, which is The Collected Schizophrenias by Esme Wang. I love this book so much. I read it a year or two ago and 2 years ago, and I've been wanting to reread it ever since. This is a nonfiction collection of essays from a woman, a queer Asian woman living with schizophrenia as well as PTSD, and it is just one of the most phenomenal books. I lent my copy to a friend, and it was so full of notes. I don't even know how they were able to read it. And then in June, we are going to be reading a book that sounded so weird and so trippy. I cannot wait for it. It's called Open Throat by Henry Hoke. We are following a queer mountain lion who narrates this star-making fever dream of a novel. As the lion confronts a carousel of temptations and threats, they take us on a tour that spans the cruel inequalities of Los Angeles and the toll of climate grief while scrambling to avoid earthquakes, floods, and the noise of their own conflicted psyche. I cannot wait to read this book. I love animal protagonists, just really geeked about that. And I always film a spoiler-filled vlog for our book club picks for the Patreon. So that is something that y'all can look forward to who are on the Patreon. Now we have to talk about the Patreon exclusive content that I'm going to be filming April to June. Our live streamed movie watch is going to be Killing Baksoon, which is an action thriller starring, I forget her name, but she is one of my favorite actors. I'm obsessed with her. She played Sun in Sense8. I just can't wait to see Asian woman badassery. The April dedicated video will be finishing multiple books that I DNF'd. The May movie selection is Raya and the Last Dragon. I've heard such amazing things about this movie, and I can't wait to watch it. The May dedicated video is going to be thrillers with mental health rep. And for June, the live streamed movie selection will be Standout, an LGBTQ comedy celebration. I cannot wait to laugh my ass off with my patrons. And then finally, the June dedicated video is Queer Books That Made Me Feel Seen. So that is the content that y'all can expect over on Patreon. And now, why don't we talk about the spring TBR that I have. These are books that I'm hoping to read over the next 3 months. In addition to the books already discussed, I am excited to read Hijab Butch Blues, which is a memoir. Very stoked about this. The focus of this spring TBR is going to be on books that I was sent very recently that come out this year or are already out. So basically this spring I'm going to be focusing a lot on new releases, just because I have been sent 100 books. So I have 100 books that I need to get to in addition to the books that were already on my shelves, and my physical TBR has like 250 books on it. So if I'm gonna hit my goal of reading roughly 300 books this year, I need to get a move on. We have Lucha of the Night Forest, which is another one of my most anticipated books. It has so many tropes that I adore. You have a scorned god, a dangerous forest, a forgetting drug, a mysterious acolyte. All of those are definitely buzzwords for me. And with magical realism, a Latina protagonist, I mean, say less. I know so many people are anticipating this book, and I definitely am one of them. Then I was recently sent The Niger Wife, which I did not know anything about this book until the publisher reached out and asked if I was interested, and I was like, oh my god, this is everything that I love in a story. Cozy black mystery thriller, and I love all kinds of thrillers, but especially in the summer, I love reaching for my cozy, almost like Hollywood reality TV show vibe thrillers. You know, I like my thrillers to be a little bit bougie as the summer starts to arrive, if that makes sense. So in this one, we are following Nicole, who has a perfect life. She's got a handsome husband and a palatial house and lives in Lagos, Nigeria with a glamorous group of friends. Like, oh my god, I'm so excited about that. But when Nicole disappears without a trace after a boat trip, her auntie Claudine decides to take matters into her own hands. Armed with only a cell phone and a plane ticket to Nigeria, she digs into her niece's life and uncovers a hidden side filled with dark secrets, isolation, and even violence. If y'all have been on this channel for more than a month, you probably know that missing black girls are definitely a buzzword for me because it is an epidemic in America, as well as many other countries throughout the world. And so I'm really, really excited about this. And it's giving My Sister the Serial Killer vibes, which I very much appreciate. I love bougie thrillers. I love non-Western thrillers. So there's just a lot of buzzwords in that book for me. I recently was sent a book by Tananarive Due, which just released or is about to release. She is my just potentially my favorite horror author, black horror author. I love her. I love her directing. I love her Nightlife podcast, which is a podcast where black authors from around the world read their horror stories, which is so freaking cool. And The Wishing Pool is a collection of horror stories. So I believe this came out on April 18th, and I can't wait for that. And another book, like, this is a book that I am going to likely be reading this month because I'm so geeked about it. I can't wait for Natural Beauty, which is by Ling Ling Huang. This cover, y'all, it's gorgeous, right? It is so beautiful, so freaking beautiful. And our narrator is this amazing piano musician, and she's got a bright, glittering future, but when her parents fall ill, she is forced to take a job at a high-end beauty wellness salon in New York City. And as she's working there, it gets kind of like horror literary thriller vibes, if that makes sense. She becomes transfixed by Helen, who's the niece of Holistic's charismatic owner, and the two strike up a friendship that hazily veers into more. So we love that it's getting queer. All the while, our narrator is plied with products that slim her thighs, smooth her skin, and lighten her hair. But beneath these creams and tinctures lies something sinister. So what I'm hoping, because this sounds very similar to the other black girl, that this book gives what the other black girl did not. One of the books that I'm anticipating the most is Pinata by Leopoldo Gaut. This might be something that I read this month. It is Latina horror, and again, one of the most beautiful covers I've ever seen. Definitely my top 10 anticipated books, most likely. It is Mexican, which gotta rep my peoples. So Carmen Sanchez is back in Mexico supervising the renovation of an ancient abbey. Already it's giving creepy. Her daughters are too young to be left alone in New York. Like, we love family horror. And they join her in what Carmen hopes is a chance for them to reconnect to their roots. And then there's a disaster, an accident at the work site that unearths a stash of rare centuries-old artifacts. And obviously you can see where the horror comes in, right? Like, that's never a fucking good thing. I am really excited to read Infested by Angel Luis Colon. Definitely going to be reading both of these books together for a Latina horror fantasy reading vlog. Like, doesn't that sound amazing? This is another topic that I'm very passionate about because it talks about slumlords and gentrification, and it's set in New York City. I think it's actually set in the Bronx, where my family is from. And we are following Manny Rivera, who's just moved from Texas to the Bronx, and he is forced to do menial tasks in his new home, which is a luxury condo his stepdad is managing, while stressing about starting over. And then he meets Sasha, who is protesting the building but turns out to be really cool, and they start to strike up a friendship with the building's exterminator. But then he starts getting nightmares. Roaches have been crawling under his skin. Contractors start to go missing. They find out that the building exterminator is not who he says he is. He finds out that he died in a fire over 10 years ago. The place that the exterminator died is the building that Manny is now living in. This is about this radical gardening group of, I believe, all women, and they are fighting this billionaire over a piece of land. And then he starts targeting their lives. And I just love any kind of ecological justice, and you know, I just love me a good thriller story. Like, apparently they start getting stalked, that kind of thing, and I can quickly see where the issues might come with this book because it is quite long. And so maybe like having a lengthy thriller is always a risk because of reader fatigue. So we're gonna see how good that actually ends up being. Another book that I'm so fucking excited about is Secret of the Moon Conch. And the reason that I'm so excited about this, like, this wasn't one of my anticipated releases, but the publisher reached out to me very recently, asked if I wanted it, and I was like, was this book made for me and me only? We are following two characters, one who is in modern day Mexico, and then another who is in 1521 Mexico. He's a young Aztec warrior fighting to save his family from Spanish imperialists. And he asks for help from this sacred moon conch, which begins to guide him. But then the moon conch ends up connecting him and putting him in communication with this struggling Mexican teen in modern day Mexico. I'm really excited. And then they fucking fall in love. Like, this book was written for me and me only. I'm so excited about that. And then another book that I can't wait to read is The Family Fortuna by Lindsay Eager. Look at this cover. I'm excited about this because I love like getting to follow any kind of carnival circus-y book, and we are following a character who's part of this dark family who's called Fortuna. She realizes that she's nothing more than a spectacle and seen as less than human. And she's beaked and feathered and considered a monster, but her circus tent like sells out nightly, and I guess she kind of gets sick of being exploited in this way. And she's ready to be more, but her father, who is the ringmaster of the family, won't give up her being his most popular attraction without a fight. And it just gets disturbing and delightful. I'm excited about it. I don't really need to know the full synopsis going in because I think the reason that I like those carnival-esque stories is the vibes, the atmosphere. So the plot doesn't really mean very much to me. Another thing I'm going to be reading for a vlog that is dedicated to Black horror. So you are going to see more in my Black horror in my horror noir series is The Shadow Sister by Lily Mead. Sourcebooks has been putting out some good fucking books lately, I'm not gonna lie. I can't wait. Again, this is about missing Black girls. It's a YA Black thriller, and I really enjoy Black YA thrillers. This is about a biracial Black girl whose sister goes missing, and she's very upset about it, obviously, but then her sister returns, and she's convinced that the girl who returned is not her actual sister. So excited about that. So excited. I'm going to be pairing that with There Goes the Neighborhood, which is by Jade Adia. I believe that this is a debut author, and look how absolutely stunning and beautiful this fucking cover is. I cannot wait to read this book because it is about a group of teenage friends who start rumors that there is a vicious gang in town in order to prevent the gentrification in their communities. Armed with their cell phones and a bag of firecrackers, the friends manipulate social media to create the illusion of gang violence in their neighborhood. But it turns into a thriller from there, which is super exciting. I also will be reading Deep as the Sky, Red as the Sea, which you're likely going to be seeing me read in May. In this book, we are following a legendary Chinese pirate queen. I think that she's actually the most revered pirate, or like the most successful pirate in Chinese history, but correct me if I'm wrong. What she's trying to do in order to save her fleet. So this was an actual woman who existed, but this is a fictionalized narrative. I love that. I love fictionalized narratives of powerful people who existed in history, women specifically. So I cannot wait for that. The final two books, there's way more books on this TBR, but I just pulled the main ones that I'm going to be focusing on over the next 3 months. And if I get through this stack, then in the next 3 months, then I'll just read the other ones. So this series by Sarah Raleigh, I just found out about it and I begged the publisher to send it to me. Like, the publisher reached out about this series by Sarah Raleigh and I was like, I have to have it. I have to have it or I'm gonna die. I don't know the name of the series, but the books are called The Bones of Ruin and The Song of Wrath. So The Song of Wrath is book 2 in the trilogy. Oh, the trilogy is called The Bones of Ruin trilogy. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. We're following an African tightrope dancer who's in Victorian London. She's used to being strange. Haunted by her unnatural power with no memories of her past, Iris is obsessed with discovering who she is, but that mission gets more complicated when she meets the Dark Adam Temple, a member of a mysterious order called the Enlightenment Committee. To help them choose a leader for the upcoming apocalypse, the committee is holding the Tournament of Freaks, a macabre competition made up of vicious fighters with fantastical abilities. If she wants to learn about her shadowy past, she has no choice but to fight. But the further she gets in the grisly tournament, the more she begins to remember, and the more she wonders if the truth is something best left forgotten. Oh, you are definitely going to see vlog coverage of as many of these books as I can, but these are the books that I want to prioritize for my spring TBR. So you're not going to see any TBR for April or May because these are the books that I'm going to be focusing on. I will be participating in the Trans Girl Readathon, which is being held this April. And so you are going to see a reading vlog for that. The host of it is Kevy, who's my current co-host for Enby Book Club, where we're reading Unwieldy Creatures. So I'm going to leave that linked down below. I don't know what I'm going to be reading for the Trans Girl Readathon as of yet, but if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see, and I'm going to do a vlog for it. At least I'm hoping to fit in a vlog for it. And as far as some video plans that I haven't mentioned in this video as of yet, I am about to start working on the 3rd video in my impersonating a booktuber over a period of 7 days series. The first was Chloe of Chloe Bunny. The second was Gavin of How to Train Your Gavin. And the 3rd booktuber, y'all can guess down below who it's gonna be, but I'm gonna start filming for that next week. You're gonna see that in April. I'm really excited to get that video filmed because I love that series so freaking much. I honestly think that's just the only video plan that I'm gonna talk about because I have been rambling enough, but everything that I've mentioned is gonna be linked down below, including the link to my Patreon. If you wanna check out my bookstore, it is on the Pango Books app. So just download the app and look up Jesse on YouTube to see what books I have available for sale. I'm about to add a bunch more books on there as well, so that might be updated by the time this video goes live. But that's it. I hope that you are now fully informed on what you can expect to see from me over the next 3 months. Stay safe, be good to yourselves, be good to others, and I can't wait to see you in my next one.